What if I told you that the most dangerous enemy you will ever face is not outside you? It doesn't live in your circumstances. It doesn't live in your competition. It doesn't live in your past. It lives in the 3 seconds between deciding to start and actually starting. That gap, that invisible wall, that is where dreams go to die. And today, we are going to tear it down. My name doesn't matter, but your future does. So stay with me, because what you are about to learn will change the way you see your own mind forever. In a quiet modern city, nestled between tall buildings and tired streetlights, lived a young man named Ryan. Ryan was not ordinary. He had a mind that saw patterns others missed, a heart that burned with ambition, and a notebook full of ideas that could change his world. Every morning he woke up before his alarm, sat up in bed with fire in his chest. Today, he whispered to himself, today is the day I begin. He made his coffee. He opened his notebook. He picked up his pen. And then, he checked his phone. Just for a second. 1 notification became 5. 5 became a video. 1 video became 6. And somewhere between the 3rd and 4th video, the morning disappeared. The coffee went cold. The notebook stayed blank. And Ryan sat in the wreckage of another lost day, wondering what was wrong with him. This happened on Monday, and Tuesday, and every day after that. Weeks passed, then months. His ideas stayed locked inside the notebook. His dreams stayed locked inside his chest. He tried everything. He bought a new planner. He downloaded productivity apps. He wrote motivational quotes on sticky notes and plastered them across his mirror. Nothing worked, because Ryan was fighting the wrong enemy. He thought the problem was laziness. He thought the problem was lack of discipline. He thought the problem was weakness of character. But the real problem was something far older, far more powerful, and far more interesting than any of those things. His friend Maya saw it clearly. She had watched Ryan for months, watched him start and stop, watched him dream and retreat. One evening she found him slumped on his couch, phone in hand, eyes glazed, surrounded by the ruins of another unstarted day. She sat beside him quietly. "Ryan," she said softly, "you are not lazy." He looked at her. "Then what am I?" She smiled. "You are human, and your brain is doing exactly what it was built to do. The problem is, it was built for a very different world." Maya took Ryan to a place he had never been. An old library at the edge of the city. The kind of place that smells like time. Tall shelves. Dusty light. Books that seemed to breathe. She pulled out an ancient volume and opened it on a heavy oak table. "Your brain," she began, "is not one brain. It is 2. The first brain is ancient, hundreds of thousands of years old. It was built for one purpose: keep you alive. It is fast, reactive, emotional. It sees effort as danger. It sees uncertainty as threat. It sees discomfort as a signal to run. In the wild, this brain saved your ancestors. It kept them away from predators, away from pain, away from anything that could kill them. But you are not in the wild anymore." Ryan leaned forward. "The second brain is newer. It lives in the front of your skull. It thinks slowly, carefully, deliberately. It can imagine the future. It can delay pleasure. It can choose discomfort now for reward later. This is the brain that builds businesses, that writes books, that creates anything worth creating. The problem," Maya said, "is that when these 2 brains disagree, the ancient one almost always wins. Not because it is stronger, but because it is faster. By the time your modern brain says, 'I should work on my dream today,' your ancient brain has already opened Netflix." Ryan stared at the page. Something cold and clarifying moved through him. "So every time I try to start something difficult, your ancient brain fires an alarm," Maya finished. "Danger, pain ahead, retreat to safety. And my phone is safety. Your phone is the most perfectly engineered comfort object in human history," she said quietly, "designed by the smartest engineers on Earth, to feel exactly like safety, exactly like reward, exactly like enough." Ryan sat back slowly. He had been fighting himself, and he had been losing. Not because he was weak, but because he had never understood what he was actually fighting. "There is one more thing you need to understand," Maya said. She turned to a page showing a glowing map of the human brain. "Dopamine. You have heard of it. Most people think it is the pleasure chemical, but that is not quite right. Dopamine is not pleasure. Dopamine is the chemical of anticipation, of wanting, of seeking. Every time your phone lights up, your brain releases dopamine, not because something good happened, but because something might have. That uncertainty, that maybe, is more addictive than certainty ever could be. This is why you check your phone. Even when you know there is nothing there, the maybe keeps you coming back. And every time you sit down to work on something difficult, something with no immediate reward, no likes, no notifications, no dopamine spike, your brain experiences that as a kind of withdrawal, real, physical discomfort, like hunger, like cold, like pain. Ryan felt something shift inside him. He had thought he was choosing Netflix over his dreams, but he hadn't been choosing at all. He had been following a chemical current, so powerful and so ancient, that calling it a choice was like calling breathing a choice. The ancient Egyptians, Maya said softly, had a name for this force. They called it Apit, the demon of delay, the devourer of hours, the one who steals your days before you realize they are gone. She paused. Apit is not a demon. Apit is dopamine, and dopamine can be redirected. That night Ryan walked home slowly. The city hummed around him. Screens everywhere. Notifications everywhere. 1,000 engineered maybe moments. Pulling at 1,000 people. In 1,000 directions. He saw it now. He went home. He made tea. He sat at his desk. And he did something he had never done before. He put his phone in a drawer. Not on silent. Not face down. In a drawer. Closed. He opened his notebook. His ancient brain immediately fired. This is boring. This is hard. Check the phone. You deserve a break. Start tomorrow. You're not ready. Just one video. He heard every voice. He felt every pull. And then he remembered what Maya said. Discomfort is not the enemy. Discomfort is the doorway. He wrote one word. Just one word. Then another. Then a sentence. Then a paragraph. 2 hours later he looked up. The tea was cold. The room was dark. His hand ached slightly. And the notebook had 3 full pages. For the first time in months, he had crossed a gap. The next day Maya gave Ryan 3 keys. Not strategies. Not hacks. Keys. Because a key does not force a door open. It simply removes the lock. The first key. Make the start invisible. Your brain is not afraid of working. It is afraid of starting. The fear lives in the gap. Between intention and action. So close the gap. Don't say I will work for 4 hours. Say I will write 1 sentence. Don't say I will go to the gym. Say I will put on my shoes. Start so small that your ancient brain doesn't even notice you've begun. By the time it raises the alarm, you are already in motion. And a mind in motion tends to stay in motion. This is the Zeigarnik Effect, named for the psychologist Bluma Zeigarnik, who discovered that the human mind naturally drives toward completion of anything it has already started. Starting is the entire battle. Everything after that is momentum. The second key, design your environment. Willpower is a resource, and like all resources, it runs out. Stop relying on willpower to resist your phone. Put the phone in another room. Put it in a drawer. Leave it in your car. Make the difficult thing the easiest thing in the room to reach. You are not fighting your brain. You are redesigning the battlefield. Remove the temptation entirely, and the battle never happens. The third key, rewrite your identity. This is the deepest key of all. Every time you say I am a procrastinator, your brain files that away as truth, and it behaves accordingly. Identity drives behavior. Always. So change the identity first. Start saying, I am someone who does hard things. I am someone who starts before I feel ready. I am someone who builds. Say it before it feels true, because your brain will work to close the gap between who you say you are and how you behave. This is not positive thinking. This is neuroscience. 6 months passed. Then a year. Ryan did not become perfect. He still had days when the phone won. Days when the ancient brain was too loud. Days when the drawer stayed open. But those days became fewer, and the days of building became more. He finished the thing he had started, then started something new, then finished that too. Not because the fear disappeared, but because he learned to walk through it, the way you walk through a cold doorway, in the middle of winter. The procrastination trap is not a character flaw. It is a feature of an ancient mind, living in a modern world, full of perfectly engineered distractions. You were not built wrong. You were just never given the manual. Now you have it. So tonight, not tomorrow, not Monday, tonight, close one tab, put the phone in a drawer, open the notebook, write one sentence, just one, because the gap between who you are and who you are capable of becoming is not closed by grand gestures. It is closed one sentence at a time, one morning at a time, one quiet act of defiance against the trap at a time. Your brain chose Netflix over your dreams because it didn't know better. Now it does. Now you do. The question is simple. What will you write tonight? You don't wait until it feels warm. You just step through.